Okay, so now here's the rant I actually wanted to do. You know how quote-unquote mental health workers, right, and like quote-unquote mental institutions are just code words for cops in prisons, right? And like, fucking no thank you, Princess Ponderphonics will tell you all about it, about how mental institutions are prisons and mental health workers are cops. But this is an obvious insight, right? Like fucking, let's throw the parallels real quick. Mental health institutions, somewhere you're locked up against your will because someone decided that you were too disgusting for society, right? That's a mental health institution. What's a mental worker? Oh, it's a person who wants to change you because you have behavior that's abnormal or deemed wrong because of society, so they will punish you. They have executive power to send you to prison, right, like a cop would, and their entire purpose is to change your behavior. That's a fucking cop, right? It's such an easy thing to see. Mental health workers, cops, right? Mental institutions, prisons. This is obvious, right? However, this is so easy, like the attitudes towards mentally ill people are like so easily seen whenever someone like says the phrase like, oh, the lunatics are running the asylum, right? Because let's break the sentiment behind this like messaging down, right? Let's break the sentiment down. The point of this like statement is like, okay, people who are mentally ill are in charge of how their own lives are run, right? That is the specific messaging of that statement, right? That is what that statement means by any objective metric, right? So how is that phrase used? It's used to say whenever someone who you do not like has power over something, right? Oh, the lunatics are running the asylum, right? So for people, there's an equivalency between mentally ill people being able to self-determine and like fucking people who they don't like holding power, right? This is the equivalency. So what does this mean? It means they hate mentally ill people and they want them to be subjugated. Whenever someone uses the phrase, the lunatics are running the asylum, fundamentally, right, that statement implies that mentally ill people are bad and should be subjugated. Like some colonizer type shit, right? Like, people don't notice this. People don't fucking, because they don't think about things. They don't think about phrases, right? Okay, so let's say literally, what would happen if lunatics ran the asylum? What would happen if mentally ill people could determine what happened to themselves, right? Okay, you know the conditions inside fucking mental health institutions. You know the fucking conditions in mental health institutions. What would mentally ill people change? Well, first of all, the people in mental health institutions would actually care about them. That's the first thing that would happen when the lunatics ran the asylum, right? That's the first thing that would happen. The people inside the mental fucking health fucking institution, right, would actually care about the mentally ill people they're taking care of, right? That's the first fucking thing that would happen. That's a completely reasonable thing that should happen. Okay, what's the second thing that would happen? Oh, you can shower without someone fucking with you. You can take as long of a shower as you want, and you can shave your legs, for example. That's another thing that would happen. Okay, well, that's a complete normal human thing that fucking humans with any dignity should be able to have, right? Like, if fucking hell. Okay, what more would happen? Oh, you get to communicate with people outside. You get to have a phone that you can talk to people with regularly. You're not forced to not have any degree of contact with the outside world for the majority of the time. That would happen if the lunatics ran the asylum. You wouldn't be forced to be isolated by virtue of them removing any access you would have to the outside world. That's what would happen if the lunatics ran the asylum. Okay, what else would happen? What else would happen if the lunatics ran the asylum? You could change your roommates. You wouldn't be stuck with someone who actively hates you and wants to make your life worse. That's what would happen if the fucking lunatics ran the asylum. That's what would happen, right? Just complete basic human decency. The only thing that would happen if the lunatics ran the asylum is they would be treated with human decency, because sure, some mental illnesses make you unable to take care of yourself. That is true. And sometimes, right, it is useful to have an institution in which you are taken care of. I'm not disputing this sentiment, right? But this is not how mental health institutions work. This is not how any mental health institution has ever fucking worked, okay? So, this is so obvious. This is so obvious if you just think about, the social sentiments. Why do mental health institutions exist? They don't exist for the mental ill. They exist for literally everyone else who wants to protect themselves for having to see mental ill people. Mental institutions only exist to fucking segregate mental ill people into, literal prison, so the fucking mentally healthy normies would not have to deal with them. This is how mental institutions exist. They're not paid for, they're not run by the people who they're supposedly working for. No, that's not what's happening. They're paid for and run by the people who want to get rid of the mentally ill people. That's how mental institutions work. That's how everything works. If you don't see this, you're blind. Fucking, the lunatics need to run the asylum. Fucking mental health reform isn't putting everyone in a fucking mental institution, drugging them up and sticking the cops on them if they want to kill themselves. That's not mental health reform. That's just oppression. That's subjugation. Fucking hate normies.